So we're going to be going through with Jay, basically, like some of these states are reopening. So how do you ensure the safety of your staff? How do you ensure the safety of your clients? And how do you ensure your ability to operate with this hybrid work from home / actually going to a physical office in a couple of weeks, which is going to happen here in some states. So I thought this was the most powerful thing that we could possibly go through when he sent it to me. So it's literally a playbook of exactly how he's going to reopen his firm. For those of you who are first timers here, Jay Ruane has 13 attorneys under him. He's pretty much the omnipresent brand for DUIs in the entire state of Connecticut. So, you know, he's definitely putting a lot of thought into his reopening plan. He's going to be sharing with you literally the step-by-step plan for that. So Jay, take it away. One point, we are having an internet boot camp tonight. I'll send you guys that link. Jay, kill it.
All right, thanks, Bill. So what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about a 4-part system to reopen your office so that you can accommodate all of the moving parts that I think are going to be going on. Since everyone is sort of working from home right now, you have to sort of take an eye towards what's going to be necessary to get you back to fully functional, because unlike starting your practice where you got to sit down and sort of address things as they come, many of us are going to be going back into fully functional law offices with a full client load and hopefully with new business calling in. And so you're going to go from 0 to 100 so much faster than ever before. So the 4 things I want you to think about, and what I'll do is at the end of this call today, I'm going to send out an email with this little PDF that I put together. It's 13 pages long. It just sort of lays out everything that you need to consider. First things first, we're going to talk about the safety of your staff, because being a good owner of a law firm, being a good boss, is making sure that your staff is safe. So you have to consider, number one, can they continue to work remotely, or do you need people in the office, right? Are you going to have to modify your existing space to allow for physical distancing or separate people by staggering shifts? How are you going to work and consider your health concerns, and specifically what is legal? Are you going to be taking daily temperatures of your clients? Are you going to be logging and having a document available so that everybody knows who's exposed to everybody? Are you going to have to bring in somebody or appoint somebody in the office to be the third-party data collector for all of that stuff, like daily temperature taking? You also have to worry about special at-risk categories, like people who are above age 70, immune compromised, or pregnant. In my office, we have 2 people who are pregnant nearing the end of their terms. We are keeping them working remotely, and that's sort of where we're at right now. We're going to have to talk about daily cleaning. Many of us have people coming into our office every day, and how are you going to make sure that they aren't bringing it into the office? And then what are they doing to clean your facility? Does your staff need PPE if they're front-facing to the community, if they're interacting with a lot of people? Where are you going to get that PPE from? What type of PPE is necessary? These are all the considerations that you need to have just to keep your staff. Handling your mail and packaging. Is that going to be something that's going to be delegated to one person or delegated to a number of different people? How's it going to be distributed? Are you going to scan and email it to everybody if you have people staying in the office versus, yeah. What's
PPE, someone's asking?
Personal protective equipment. It's what they use in hospitals, like gloves, masks, that type of thing. Okay, so, and then here's the big thing that I think you need to be cognizant of when it comes to the safety of your staff. Subsequent positive tests. How are you going to advise people in your office about subsequent positive tests if a staff member or a client tests positive afterwards? You got to create an immediate action plan. Isolate their personal effects. Sanitize. Have a notification protocol. Have a plan to resume after they come back. And a format for claiming the benefits that you have to give them as a business owner. And then Rule 1.6 is a big deal. Client confidentiality is something that is more than the evidentiary privilege of attorney-client, evidentiary rule of attorney-client privilege. So you got to talk about Rule 1.6 confidentiality in the context of this. Now, of course, I think there might be some leeway with it, but it's not something that we can just ignore. Other things you got to worry about: if you have a landlord, do you have a duty to advise them as to what's going on in your office? And if you have some co-tenants or something else. Once you've done with all of that stuff, dealing with the safety of your staff, now you have to worry about the safety of your clients. You have to identify, can you limit in-person visits to your office? Can you satisfy your legal needs with remote functionality? These are all things that you need to do. Many people have adopted Zoom like we're using here today, but there's other things that you can consider, telephonic hearings, et cetera. You have to distinguish between interactions with your clients in your office and outside of your office. Can you physically distance yourself from your client? And I'm sure Mark is going to talk a little bit about when you're dealing with a high profile client, can you physically distance yourself from a client when you need to represent them? Because standing next to somebody shows a signal to potential jurors, to the court. Those are all things that you need to be able to consider. Then you also have to consider with your clients, how are they going to notify you if they test subsequently positive? So that's something else that you need to have. Maybe somebody in your office checking in with your clients once a week. Hey, is everybody feeling okay? That adds a burden to your stuff, but it's something that you got to consider. Do you need to get your client's consent to share the anonymous medical data about them with other clients? Hey, you were in court today with 3 other people. One of those people have tested positive for COVID. You should be aware of that. You have to get the confirmation from the client that you can share that data anonymously, because otherwise you're giving out Rule 1.6 confidential information, and you're giving out health information that you may not necessarily have the authority to do so. You need to identify staggering appointments, staggering court appearances if you're going to be in court. Those are all things that you need to consider for the safety of your client. So once you've done safety of your office and your staff and your safety of your clients, now you have to address your ability to operate, right? Number one, you have to identify all the different ways that you can communicate with your clients, either a text, by phone, by email, by video conference, whatever it is. You need to still function as an attorney and protect and preserve your client's rights. You need to be aggressive on your motions practice to make sure that there is a public record of you filing things on their behalf. You got to identify expedited hearings that cannot wait. So, Sarah, in the context of perhaps a family matter where you're dealing with custody issues, that's certainly something that's important. For us on the criminal side, like me and Mark, it deals obviously with the issues of making sure that you have release issues, whether you have protective orders put into place that impact a person's place where they can live at this time. Those things are all things that cannot wait, and so you need to be able to operate. You need to have a protocol in your office to identify the potential issues, and this is where systems really come in. You should create a flow chart. When a new client approaches your office, what are the issues that you need to address right away to protect their legal interests? And then you need to create a system to confirm that you've done that work, and create a system to confirm that the proper filing's been done. Because I know in Connecticut, where I practice, courts are still only 3 days a week, half days at best. So you need to confirm that those motions have been filed, that they've been docketed by the court, so that your client's rights are preserved. Just because things are acting a little crazy right now in different courthouses, and everybody has different protocols, doesn't mean that abrogates your responsibility to make sure you're doing everything for your client. And then finally, step 4 in the process is really your ability to operate profitably, because what was working for you back in February and January and probably having a great practice, you need to take a critical eye towards your run rate and how long you can last with revenues the way they are right now. And that's going to make some hard decisions absolutely necessary. You should probably start considering ancillary profitable verticals. If you have something that you can do that maybe you did in prior years of your practice, you transitioned out of it, but it's a way to generate revenue, you should look to that and maybe expand your practice if you can, especially if it's something that's consumer facing that there's a need for right now. I know a lot of family lawyers are adding the vertical of trust and estates, providing living wills and will documents right now as a way to generate some income. In the criminal context, we have a lot of lawyers that are offering pardons and expungement work as another way to generate some income. But you really need to evaluate your ability to service this clientele and service them properly. Number one, can you actually complete the legal work that's necessary? Do you have the systems in place or the staff in place that are knowledgeable about this stuff? The last thing I could do right now is open up a PI shop, right? Just because I think, oh, well, PI is immune to this. People still get into accidents. There are workers' comp. There's tons of service people out there doing stuff. Just because I can actually say I do it doesn't mean I can actually do it properly. And most importantly, I think, if you are going to take on this type of new work, what happens in 3 months or 5 months or 6 months or a year when things change again? Do you have a passion for this type of work? Because I know for myself and for people that I've talked to, if you don't have a passion for something, you're not going to follow through with it. And that's really where you're going to have a big problem, is if you take on a bunch of cases thinking, well, it's cash in the door right now, and then they sit and they languish on your desk because you really have no passion for doing that type of work, and then 6 months pass, and then something doesn't get filed, or the client feels they're being ignored, that's going to be grounds for a bar complaint. And the last thing you want to do is expose yourself to a bar complaint down the line because you took on stuff just because you needed cash in the door. You know, there's other opportunities out there. Law isn't necessarily the only thing to make money in this world. And for a lot of us, it's where we think it is our only way. But don't just grab cases to grab cases and grab money unless you're going to actually devote yourself to the work. And then really the last thing, the ability to operate profitably, you need to identify your need versus want staffing, because there's a lot of things that I would love to have, but do I absolutely need it to be able to function as a business? You know, we had somebody in our office who was nights and weekends phones. Well, you know, technology allows us to roll our phones over to an answering service. And quite frankly, there's a $25,000 a year savings. I don't know if it's necessary that I can bring that attorney, that person back right now because of profitability issues. So that's something that I have to decide as a business owner. So there's really those 4 steps, right? 4 steps start with, number 1, your safety of your staff. Number 2, your safety of your clients. Number 3, your ability to operate. And your number 4, your ability to operate profitably. And if you accommodate each one of those and think through each one of those while you're going through your reopening plan and your business plan for the next year, it will put you in a position where you can make informed, educated decisions and make yourself the best possible firm that you can be coming out of this.